What's up, my man?
Hey, how you doing?
Good, man. Good. How are you?
Doing well, doing well.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Tegan.
How are you?
Doing fantastic.
I never remember to turn on the camera before we come online, so...
Now, Tegan,
Yes.
did you buy me a kettle?
I might have gotten you a wedding gift, yes?
I appreciate that. I went to try and say thank you, and it blocked my messages saying you were suspended.
Yeah, I know. It's a great little thing that's happening right now until the end of February. I've appealed it, but
You got a full month?
I got a whole month for apparently spam. Don't know what I did. So, yes, it's very frustrating. But yes, I know that your wedding is coming up, and it's, I thought it was a nice thing to do. So,
Thank you. I do appreciate
you're very welcome. So,
4 weeks.
I know. I bet you're really excited.
Very much so.
So, yes, I have been there. I've done the wedding thing, so I know that it's simultaneously both a stressful and a very exciting time. So, yeah.
We've just finished all of our private dance lessons, so I feel confident that we can do I can do at least a passable attempt at a dance.
I'm impressed that you did dance lessons. I just went for the old teenage two-step shuffle. Let's be honest, on my wedding day.
The hands on the waist and the...
Yep, pretty much. So I do apologize if I end up looking shiny. It is hot here. Yeah, Australia is deciding it needs its summer heat wave. So, and for whatever reason, one of my children decided it'd be a great time to turn off the air conditioner. So now I've got to wait for the whole house to recool. So, so being in a little blanket covered room is a great place to be right now.
Luckily, TikTok's video quality is not the greatest. So,
I mean, if I've seen I've seen videos going around that they're starting to ask people to record in landscape, and I'm like, why? But it's a thing. It's a thing. So
where is
I know.
Tanya or our authors?
Yeah, I didn't sleep very well last night, so I get this message at 4 o'clock in the morning from Tanya just going, "Are you able to jump in?" And I'm like, yes. I haven't slept. Well, I had slept, but just not particularly well, and so I was awake at ridiculously early hours of the morning. So,
what time is it now for you there?
It's about 11:30 in the morning. So. Hello Fiona, hello Lanisha. Yeah, so it's a lot easier for me to do the 7 o'clock show as opposed to the 2 p.m. one, which is 6:30 in the morning, and I'm like, oh, that's rough, buddy. But it's worth it to see all of your lovely faces. So,
have you been on this show before, Megan?
Pardon?
Have you been on this show before?
Yes, a couple of times. And I think I've got a few coming up in the coming months as well. So
this is your 4th time?
Something like that. I have so much fun with it, and Aaron's a great host. I love this place. So Tanya,
Tegan. Oh my God! Thank God for a normal voice today.
It's nice to hear and nice to be appreciated. Hello, Sarah.
I gotta lay out my day for y'all here, okay? Aaron knows that I was radio silent for most of the afternoon because I had an eye appointment, right? So they were measuring my eyeball for surgery, okay?
Yep.
I cannot see what the is going on in the world, okay? I talked to a mannequin for about 5 minutes. because I didn't realize
You thought it was a person?
Oh my gosh.
And my sister-in-law, Shannon, was supposed to pick me up because I'm not supposed to be driving, right?
No.
I'm waiting there. She's not coming. I can't see the screen for a diddly squat. And I'm looking down there trying to find her on the screen. And I see who I think is Shannon. So I hit Shannon to call Shannon. I hit the wrong Shannon.
Well, that's...
How are you doing now, though? How are you feeling now?
I feel like a total twit.
Okay.
At least you can laugh about it, though. That's the main thing. Like, I can guarantee you that mannequin probably gave you some of the best conversations you've had in a little while.
Oh, yes, you bet.
Sometimes you just need someone to be quiet when you're talking to them.
Yeah.
Exactly.
This little old lady comes up and taps me on the shoulder and she goes, "Sweetie, she won't answer you. She's a mannequin."
God, what did she think of you?
Oh, but that's such a nice thing. At least somebody came up and let you know. Like,
And
that's nice.
I thought I got my sister-in-law, so I was teasing her because she talks to her friend Christine all the time and gets carried away with the conversation, doesn't pay attention to time. So I had typed in there, "Tell Christine hi."
Can you see now, though?
No.
Okay.
We're just all vague blurs.
Yes,
You know
are.
your camera's on, right?
Is it? Hi, guys. Now you get
Don't
to
be
see.
mean, Aaron.
Thanks, Erin.
The momentary panic. Oh, God. I think I was watching a live the other... I think it might have been Andy this morning or whatever. I'm like, Andy accidentally brought up someone from the chat. Admittedly, it was fine. I wanted to talk to them. I'm like, that is my biggest fear, that I will get pulled, like I'll be watching a live and someone will pull me up and I'm like, but I'm not decent. I want to chat to you guys, but also I'm not dressed for this.
I mean, most of the people, like when you see people on, I don't know, like writing sprints and things like that, the people that just come in and out of there, like
Yeah.
half of them are just laying in their bed. You know, they're just like just laying in their bed, like no camera on. Like, can you imagine? You turn it on in the morning, you just woke up, you're like smushed face. And you're
That's when my
Hello,
voice is its
Aiden.
most sultry.
Oh, I know. Do you ever like wake up and like go right into the booth to do a character or something?
No.
Oh, yeah.
See, I can't do that. My voice is like, I need time for everything to just chill out a bit.
I
Or
do not
hoping
have the
that you can
talent of
get
y'all.
a short story completely done in the few days after you've had a cold and your voice is still really, really crackly and deep.
You have so much fun with that.
It is good though. Like,
You can only do it like you can only do that if a character has like very few lines, right? Because if you're gonna do it once, you know, you have to sustain it. But like,
Yeah.
if some random, like demon or something showed up, like, oh, I would save that for first thing in the morning.
Nice. All right. Well, we have our wonderful authors with us, so let's jump in. I hope everyone is well. Welcome. So, welcome everyone to tonight's CSI Cold Reads. Now, the format of the show, what you are here to enjoy, is I am Aaron Smith, I'm a narrator, and I've grabbed two incredible narrators. We were supposed to have the excellent coach and narrator Shannon, but a family emergency has meant that she's been unavailable, and so filling that space is the incredible and reliable, wonderful Tegan Burke. For this evening.
I like the word reliable. Reliable sounds much better than I have nothing better to do with my time.
You're here to
I
support
would be
us.
here. I would be here at the drop of a hat for you guys. So I love joining you.
That's the best word to be described as in our industry, Tegan.
Yeah,
Oh,
I have realized that.
yeah.
So me and the narrators, we are going to be reading some samples and talking to these wonderful authors about their books and their projects. And this is meant to, like, it all came from my love of doing a cold read. So while we've had a little bit of time to prep the manuscript, I sent the manuscript to the narrators yesterday. And I think I only sent it to Tegan a couple of hours ago. So we don't have the same kind of level of prep time that we would normally have for an audiobook, where we read it a couple times beforehand. So this will be an exercise of our cold reading skills to see how well we can improv and narrate on the fly. Let's go around the table and introduce everyone, and then we will get into talking about one of the books in particular. So, as I said, I'm Aaron Smith. I'm a narrator. I've done over 200 audiobooks at this point, mostly in the fantasy genre. But enough about me. Christian, tell us a little about yourself.
I will. Hello, everybody. I don't know most of you here, which is nice. Welcome. It's nice to meet you guys. My name is Christian Leatherman. I am a full-time audiobook narrator. I went full-time in July of last year. I was narrating for about a year and a half before then, part-time. Just finished up a 45th book, and I primarily narrate in the romance genre. I within the romance genre, I've done just about every subgenre. I like to say that, you know, I'm pretty versatile. I think that any genre that gets thrown at me, I always approach it differently and have a good time with it. And I like that. It keeps me on my toes. I don't like being just stuck in one genre. So hopefully in 2024, we can get some fun epic fantasy, maybe some horror, maybe some thrillers, sci-fi, all kinds of good stuff like that. Lit RPG. I'm hoping, guys, you know, manifest this for me, please. Manifest. But yeah, I love doing it, and I love going on these lives and hanging out with this incredible community. So it's going to be fun. I don't know what to expect here today. I'm going to ask a question or two later, Aaron, but it's going to be fun. I like doing cold reads as well.
Great. I have a lit RPG kind of penciled in for later on in the year, so I have to do a ton of research.
That's so exciting.
Just so much research.
Yeah. A whole different beast.
Yeah. I've done one before, and narrating stat blocks was just an entirely new thing for me.
Well, I mean, it's funny because Lit RPG has they have two kind of needs for narrators, right? It's like, it's either the story with a voice like yours, that's like this epic fantasy kind of like, you know, really strong hero. And then there's like the dweeby dork kind of guy that gets like pulled into this fantasy realm. That's like, oh, look at all these like hot women. And like, I feel like I fit that mold. You know, I can really channel that character. So I'm hoping to go the other way. So we won't be competing, Aaron. We're into
you have to dive right into some of the anime genres that are out there for it.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's hearing my voice and being like, you know, I'm also going to send Aaron an audition and they're going to compete. Like, no.
We will work together on a project at some point.
Oh, that'd be
I would
awesome.
like that. So, Tegan.
Yes.
Tell us about yourself.
So I am an Australian audiobook narrator. I've been in the industry. It's been a bit of a whirlwind ride because I've only really been doing it for about 2 years now. So, and I've got roughly 20 books or so to my name, and most of the stuff that I actually do is in an American accent, so it always surprises people when they actually hear my natural speaking voice. I mostly work in the romance and sci-fi genres. I work primarily at the moment with a wonderful author called David Parker Ross. And I am actually set to do a book coming up in the next couple of months with him, The Pig Farmer's Daughter. So I think this will be like the 8th book in the series. So, but I've narrated several other characters for him. But beyond that, when I'm not doing, the speaking for a living, I am doing speaking for fun as a D&D, Dungeons and Dragons dungeon master over on some of the other apps out there, so you can catch that. I actually have a game tonight, so it's it's a bit chaotic, but yeah, I really enjoy doing fantasy. I'm hoping to actually get some fantasy books this year. That would be nice, but yeah, I absolutely love doing it. I love getting to be part of the community and actually jumping into like these podcasts, getting to know all of these guys has been really wonderful. And even more excitingly, I've actually started to delve into the world of like full cast audio podcast because I will be actually being the voice in one of the Hellscape horror podcasts in the next month or so. I am actually narrating Tanya's story, some of the characters in Tanya's story. So I'm very excited about that. So yes.
I'm very excited about it too. You don't know.
Big reveal. Breaking news.
I know. I'm very excited about it. So, so I believe that is actually going the first, from what I've been told, Wednesday, I believe the first part of that event is going out on all of your places that podcasts are available. So, and it is the Till Death Do Us Part event. So if you like horror, go check it out. So, yeah.
Nice. Now, I just want to take a moment and say that Tegan is impressive and very hardworking that with all the work that she manages to get, because she is at a disadvantage compared to the rest of us over here. If I'm low on projects and there are no other projects I know of that I can contact someone and audition for, I'll go on to ACX and I'll find projects to audition for. ACX, for some reason, is not available in Australia. And so Tegan's been doing this without that crutch and that benefit. So well done there.
Thank you. It is one of the things that I have really noticed, and it's not just Australian narrators. This also, I believe, it also applies to New Zealand and the surrounding regions of that as well. But it's also Australian authors can't access ACX either. So the way that you will generally see a lot of Australian authors' books come up on Amazon and things like this is because without things like Findaway and Authors Direct and things like this, the Australians wouldn't even be able to get into the market through all of that. So, yeah, this is why I really enjoy coming on these, because it allows me to get to meet authors, but also really promote the message of, hey, if you see a narrator that you like on here, send us a message. The worst thing we're going to say is, hey, we can't do it right now, So, yeah.
Awesome. Now, moving around the table,
Yes.
please forgive me if I say this wrong. Is it Isoellen?
It's Isoellen.
Isoellen. Okay, I do apologize.
That's
Isoellen.
okay. It's a completely made-up name, so you can make up how you say it.
Okay. Well, I'll try to remember to say it the way you would prefer it to be said. Isoellen. So please... oh, my connection.
You froze, so please.
You're good now.
You good now?
Okay.
I wish I would have
All right.
seen that. Oh, man.
No. I just got a big no connection sign. Okay. We're okay. So, welcome. Glad to have you on here, and looking forward to reading your little sample that you sent us. But please tell us a little about yourself. We're going to get into the book later, but tell us a little about yourself.
So I've been writing since 2020. I only have 5 books out. I didn't get any books out last year or this year, and it's been hard. They don't tell you as an author, how hard it is to keep up the writing. You hear all this great things, rapid release, but if you're a slow writer, the keeping up the writing and keeping going is kind of a challenge. I write romance basically in any genre as long as it's not contemporary. I tend to love ruined worlds and different kinds of settings because I can play in fantasy worlds. I love fantasy books. I wrote my first book when I was 50 and finished it, but I had been writing really and blogging and doing all kinds of creative things in creative spaces forever. I had a blog in 2000, so way back when, when that became big, and have been reading. I cut my teeth reading historical bodice rippers. I read everything on the market between when they started coming out and to when they started fading, so I actually got to see as a reader and a writer how the market changed from bodice rippers and romance, because there was no steamy romance before those books. It did not exist. There was no paranormal steamy romance before those books. So I got to see how that came in. And then when ebooks became a thing, before Amazon got onto the market and took it over, I watched that market develop for women and really kind of had tracked it until I finally sat down and wrote my own book. So I love the whole industry and the history of romance books too. It fascinates me.
Wonderful. Can someone help me? What is a bodice ripper?
Okay.
I'm thinking. Okay, there's aliens that burst out of your chest. There's
yeah. A bodice is a lady's top of the fitted top over the corset. And if it is ripped, it means she is rather taken by force. It's
the moment where they go wandering off together and they can't contain themselves, and all of a sudden they're rapidly declothing themselves.
Hero. or morally gray hero.
Yes.
And they were really quite popular in the States, but all over, I assume. But
the roguish bandit and the rescued princess and things like that.
All portrayed by Fabio on the cover.
Oh,
exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
I was so excited to get my man chest covers. I can't even tell you. I don't care what anybody says. It was an ode to all those books that I read and to Fabio.
It was the hair.
The Netflix show that was really popular that was set in kind of the Elizabethan England. I didn't watch it because I don't have Netflix, but it was yes. Originally, those were historical, fell in the bodice rippers. They changed them, they altered them, they modernized them, but I read those when they first came out in the 90s. So they were.
They did tension so well because it was all about the slow burn build-up of you can't and no, I mustn't kind of thing, but eventually they can't help themselves. So, yeah.
Okay.
They just can't help themselves and they're in the garden and whatever. But so yeah, all of the Bridgerton stuff would be, even though there wasn't as much, of the consent issue in those, they would still be considered in that whole historical genre of that age of historical spicy romance before it got really spicy and really naughty.
If the trees could talk in those books.
All right. And then Eden.
Yay!
Hi.
So, I'm getting better at this, Tanya. You'll be so proud of me. So,
You rock it.
I'm Eden Knox. I'm still kind of a baby author, so this is all still kind of new. I am the author of the Sin Bin series. First book is out, Tripping for Number 68. which is that fun little snippet I sent you. It comes from that. Also, I have On the Power Play, which is a short which is coming out in the Lovesick anthology on February 13th. And book 2 in the series, which is Fighting for Number 57, is coming out on March 30th. Sorry, Tanya, I changed it from the 1st. Well, I needed a little more time because grad school while writing.
Yeah, I'll let it go.
Yeah. So I needed that extra 30 days, but it's okay. Good things come to good girls who wait. So it's going to be amazing.
Does this mean we get extra hockey pucks?
I'm sure there will be extra hockey pucks involved.
Yes.
And fun little rubber wristbands now. And I shouldn't be allowed to have adult money because I apparently will buy anything swag for all of my stuff. And I'm trying to figure out how to make custom hockey jerseys so I can have them for my book signings because...
Ooh, I can help you with that.
I mean,
That would be amazing.
I can help you with that, Eden.
I can help you with that is the most common phrase I ever hear Tanya say.
I know, and that Tanya has so many fingers in so many pies, and it's so amazing.
Isn't that a better phrase than telling people to go take a flying F?
It is, and usually I can help you with that, or I know where to send you for that, is usually also followed by a DM with a date with you're gonna come talk to me on this day.
Yeah, I'm gonna get that as soon as I can see again.
I was gonna say, I think you have me for the 27th, if I remember right. For some reason, the 27th is standing out to me.
February or March?
February.
February. I think it would. Let's see.
It sounds like a date. That's a Tuesday. I think it's on book talk.
It probably is not. If it's a Tuesday, it'd either be a Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday.
Maybe it was 29th. I was an English major for a reason. So numbers are hard, which is also the reason why I shouldn't have adult money.
English was my worst subject at school.
Aww.
Really?
Yep.
But you're so
I was
good at
a maths person. I was on track to do maths. I went to university for aerospace engineering. I then got a degree in video game design, and now I read
incredible.
books. So
That's incredible.
yeah.
Aaron,
Anyways, so sorry, Tanya, please.
You could have been rich.
I prefer who I am now.
I would have totally traded you, and you could have done my math homework, and I would have totally done your English homework for you.
I feel like there's a whole heap of listeners out there too now that buy your books and go, wait, he's funny and smart and he's got an amazing voice. Like, you've just tiered yourself.
I feel like all narrators are like very smart though. Like, I feel like you kind of have to be to do this job. Like, it requires so much research and like commitment to the subject and making it right. That, you just like fake it. I feel like.
Yeah.
If you ever
Especially
have to
when...
narrate a textbook, you've got to you learn a few things.
Oh my gosh, have you heard his narration of the medical book?
Oh no, really?
Why would we have heard that?
You never know.
No, I actually went and bought it.
You did?
I went and bought it. It's great. Yeah.
I'm gonna
So
need you
it's
to DM
the
me
top-
that title.
Okay. I can't remember the specific title, but it's the top 300 drugs list. So all the people going into medicine need to really memorize the most common 300 drugs that are prescribed so that they know what to prescribe on what time. And so it's just me reading a list of
Is it just
drugs.
aspirin?
It's on my TBR.
All the females will know every single one of them. They will not forget any of them. Trust me.
I'm impressed with the linguistic ability to do that, though, because there are some times when you're a narrator, that you will just be in such a headspace that eventually you will look at a word and it'll be a really simple word and you'll be like, is that how you say that word? Is that, and then you start, like, I know authors get the same thing where they will just stare at a word for so long and they're like, that doesn't look right. And then they go look it up and they're like, it is right. We actually spell it like that. And it clicks and it just, yeah. So trying to do medical words, I do not envy you.
Yeah. And I apologize, Tonya. I got a cold when I was doing the last few chapters of that book. And I waited and thought that I was completely healed when I came round to do the last few chapters and the pickups that I had to do. But then I got a message after it was all signed off and the author was happy with it. He said, oh, also, it does sound like you had a bit of a cold at the end of the book, but my daughter thinks it's funny, so we're keeping it that way.
Oh my God.
No, the thing is because of the cold, his voice is deeper. And so that's why I'm saying all the females that listen to that book, they will know every single stinking one of those nuggets.
See, that's the impressive part. If your voice just gets deeper when you have a cold, when I have a cold, it's all in here and it just, everything becomes D's at the end because just you're that blocked. Yeah. So.
And I'm just going to say azithromycin is twice a day on the first day and one every day after until the 7 days are done.
All right. Well, again, enough about me and my projects.
Never enough, Aaron. Never enough.
Yeah. The wonderful powerhouse behind this and many TikTok shows is, of course, Celtic Blue to You. Tonya is incredible. When I had the idea of this, I mentioned it. Next thing I know, I have an email, private message saying, "Okay, I've got you sorted. We're gonna do it. I've got the people lined up for this week, next week." A couple weeks later, suddenly she's telling me, "Okay, we're fully booked through till March," and like, so. Everyone, please share some love with Tonya. She is currently recovering. Just a couple weeks ago, she had a bad accident with the car. Now you're getting eye surgery soon, and so today she's somewhat blind. So everyone share some love. A few roses sent Tanya's way wouldn't go amiss.
And if anyone is ever worried, Tanya is the nicest person you can ever meet. She is infinitely supportive of everybody, everyone new, up and coming. If you've been in this industry forever, she is the nicest, kindest, most supportive person. And she will actively, if she hears you talk negatively about yourself, she will make you realize how wonderful you are. So, yes.
Without the mannequin.
Yeah, without the mannequin. And if anybody is sending me gifts and stuff, I can't see it. The screen is like really small. So I want to just say thank you ahead of time. And if you're liking the show, thank you. Please feel free to share it out and like it till you can't tap that screen anymore. We want a really good audience for this panel because this is such a fun panel. And I want everybody to enjoy it to the nth degree.
You've got 108 gifts so far, FYI.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
All right. Wonderful. So let's jump into our first story. So for everyone's reference, especially for Christian's reference, as he's not been here before, and Isoellen, we're going to jump with your story first. We'll talk with Isoellen a little bit about the story. I've gone through and prepped the manuscript a minimum amount, not really done much. What I have done is I have made all of the character dialogue bold so it's a little bit easier to see, and I've color-coded it. And we're going to talk with Isoellen to get an idea of how we should portray these characters. So I have little question notes in there for how do we portray certain characters. You'll get to experience us learning about a character live. So when we do narrate an audiobook and we prep a script, we will usually, or often I should say, not always, because not all audiobooks require or need voices, but when they do, we will have some time with the author to talk about how we should portray certain characters to bring them to life. And we're going to have a small snippet of that tonight. So, correct me if I'm wrong, Isoellen. We are reading a sample from your book, Redeeming Her Alpha. Okay?
That's correct.
So,
I hope so. I think that's what I said.
We start reading it as a surprise to her too.
And I've got a little tag here that does say edited for reading on TikTok.
Yes, yes.
So the actual manuscript,
yeah,
not quite TikTok safe, I'm assuming. So tell us just a little bit about Redeeming Her Alpha.
So this is the, it's meant to be read as a standalone, but it is the fourth book in a series that's already out. And because it's definitely adult reading material, it is an Omegaverse universe. I don't know if you know about Omegaverse. Don't make me explain it. Mostly it is, this scene is mostly about, if I remember right, I think they are, let me just describe their world a little bit. It's a post-apocalyptic dystopian world. There is a large city where one of the characters, the male character, Mur, he's actually left that city behind because he's wanted, there's a death sentence for his life in that city. So he's no longer there. And while he's been away from that city, he's kind of ended up adopting an 18-month-old little girl. And so he's out in the kind of they don't even really have a name for it anymore, because if you think about the future, if there's been enough war and there's been enough destruction, you lose your history. So it isn't really a place that has a name anymore. In the book, you got to understand, when I wrote this first book, I never thought it would be published, and we didn't go through and fix some of the names. So the name of the land is just the because it's the unlivable land. Had I known that people would read it, I might have changed some things, but you just put it out there and see what happens. So they're in the wilds of this land that is very post-apocalyptic, and they are actually escaping with the girl who is with him, who is Zinn, Zinn. They are escaping her tribe of women because they have some very, when you get a small tribe of people and your thinking is enclosed, think of it like a cult. They've really devolved into some very cultish behavior. And led by one crazy woman who is just driving them all with fear. And so they have done some really terrible things to each other and to the people around them. And so they are now escaping that. And so you've got Zinn and her younger brother, and Mur and his little girl, and they have just kind of escaped that situation of this all-female tribe that was not a good place for anybody. And they are out in the middle of nowhere. They are, I think this scene, they haven't really reached the camp yet, Mur's camp yet. So they're kind of just left the building. And so these characters have just met. There is Mur, who is older and has been out in the wilds for a while. There is Zinn, who has been living in this tribe situation her whole life. And she knows about the greater world, but her education is very limited. There's no television, there's no digital, there's none of this stuff for her to learn. There were no books. So her education is very practical and very limited. And she is with her younger brother. So I think most of the book has where the characters are just the two of them together. It's not TikTok safe. So I think Peter's voice is in this, and he's kind of the comic relief in the story because he's a 7-year-old who's always getting in the middle of everything, and then there's the baby. So Did I answer your question?
That's great. That's a lot of information, and it is wonderful. Right, so let's talk specifically about those three characters. So the sample we have has mostly Zin and Mur, and then a few lines of Peter. Now, you've just mentioned Peter is a 7-year-old boy.
Yes.
Okay, so to help us act him properly, do you have any sort of idea? Is he timid? Is he bold? Is he...
he is bold and precocious. He comes from a... but he is also... he's been very... He comes from a very... where he was, the reason him and Zin had to escape was it was a very abusive situation. But he is also very protective of his older sister. So he's finally away from this abusive situation where everything about him was suppressed and denied and made small. And he's out in the big world for the first time. He knows they're escaping, and he's very excited about the adventure they are on. So he is rather bold. He's going to pipe up with any information he has. Whenever Mur says something a little bit aggressive towards Zin, he's going to step in and defend her. And not really, because he's not necessarily grown up in a world with a lot of men. All the women have been leading everything, and this is the first really free man that he's ever met, and he doesn't really have any fear of him yet. So
okay, that's good.
So he steps in whenever he can.
That's great. All right. So Mur, how are we portraying Mur?
He's educated. He is educated in that he grew up in his father's library, and he is the son of a conqueror, basically, who conquered a city that had all of the technology and all the modern things that this world they are currently in is lacking. He is escaping his past of being very selfish and self-involved and making some very major mistakes in that. And his whole world is that little girl that is with them who doesn't really speak. She doesn't have any lines in this, but that's his whole entire world in this. She is all he cares about right now in the story. He is intrigued to have this woman who basically set him free from the tribe.
Okay.
And they made a bargain together to kind of work together to survive. He has designs on her, but think of it like having a very strong, how would you say? I can say sex. So having a very strong sex drive, but knowing you have to control it to a point. So he's going to see what he can get away with.
All right. That's good. Now, Zin, and you've given us wonderful descriptions. You don't need to give us so much backstory. So
sorry.
That's okay. Can you brief? Yeah, go ahead.
Is Mur just big alpha, growly kind of guy, or is it?
He is big and growly, but he's probably a lot more educated and very. He's articulate, so don't be afraid to let him be articulate. And he's also in a really bad mood. He's not in a good situation in this scene. He's sore and upset, and so, yeah.
Right. And then briefly, Zin. How do we portray Zin?
Zin is younger. She's somewhere between 20 and 30. She is not necessarily afraid or timid at all either, and she's a little defensive in just in general about this new situation. She is of the three of them, she is more unsure about everything that's going on, and a little bit scared of Mur. She doesn't know what to expect. So but she is outspoken. She is sassy. She is confident, and her goal is to protect her brother and herself.
Okay. Wonderful. So that's a lot of information, and it's great. It's good. We're going to get to it now. The way we will do it is I will read the first section, then Christian will read at the break point in the script. Christian will take over to read the second. Then the next break point it'll be Tegan, and then it'll go back around to me, and we'll go around until we've read the sample. Now, Christian and Tegan, do you have any questions for Isoellen?
I just got a content thing.
Yeah. Your content has been age restricted. If they remain in your live will be unavailable to younger audiences.
Oh, I said the S word.
My live is not eligible for recommendation and restricted in search results for the next 10 minutes because Tegan... That is terrible. I'm not going to remove you, Tegan, because you are fine.
Yeah,
She didn't say anything.
I haven't said anything.
Wait,
Yeah.
what happened?
I suspect someone is blast reporting or something Tegan inappropriately, because I just got a notification saying that if I don't boot Tegan from my live will become age restricted. And so I care more about Tegan being present than anything else. I've said that. So now my live is now under restriction, 18 plus only. I hope no one gets lost in here. But this book is also for adults, so I think we're
fair,
fine.
but yeah, I
Mine
apologize
says-
for that.
Mine says consuming substances featured in this live could harm your health. What substances?
That one
Nobody's
too.
Okay, somebody is... This happens sometimes on weekends when people get bored and stupid. If I find out who that person is in this live, we will talk.
Yeah,
Because I'm drinking a beer.
See, it's not you, it's me. Apparently coffee is not approved.
I've got caffeine.
it's people being unnecessarily harmful. Like, I don't see a point in doing it. So let's push past that and continue on with the reading. So, Christian and Tegan, do you have any questions?
I think I'm all good. I think it should be fine. Yep.
I'm going second.
Yes, you're going second. All right. So, from Chapter 11 of Redeeming Her Alpha by Isoellen writes, It was not unusual for Mer to be tired, hungry, cold, and sore. Nor was it unusual for him to have to walk a few miles in the rain. Unlike the year-long mild climate of his former home, most of the suffered unpleasant weather fronts. Right before Jem was born, he met snow for the first time. He couldn't say he liked it. The weather here changed as it pleased, ignoring things like temperature and seasons. What was unusual was the tantalizing smell of a woman he wanted, and his inability to escape it. She was right there, and there wasn't a single reason not to force her to present herself for his inspection. He'd face her away from him so he wouldn't have to see the horror and disgust breaking over her face, find her center, and end his suffering. That curling summer sin smell of hers sought him out, even when he tried to stay upwind from her. Her attitude and strength invaded his thoughts. She wasn't hard to look at in the daylight either, so full of life and determination. He wanted to bend her over, tunnel his hands in her hair and grip it hard, use her body as the lever for his own selfish gratification. This Omega grew up with no privileges. No one took care of her. No one protected her. He could see it in the way she guided them, handled the boy, and even the way she side-eyed him and Jem. She was taking care of them, protecting them.
Unreal. And it only added to his attraction. The soft, pampered Omegas from his childhood never dared to climb a tree to help anyone. If the nearest Alpha didn't do it for her, there was always a drone, eager to please, standing nearby. Even the one Omega he had thought he wanted, a woman of surprising resourcefulness, had an army of servants naturally inclined to fulfill her every wish. Zin had no one. Not only that, but something was wrong with her. One shoulder drooped, and she kept that arm close to her body, often folded across her middle. There was a shine in her eyes, a pinkness lining the eyelids, and a smell to her sweat, evidence of constant, low-level pain. Yet she was tireless, didn't complain, giving as good as she got. Mur felt small next to her. She left him speechless and useless. His right foot felt like a swollen club of pounded meat. He wanted to whine and demand she make it better. No chance of that going over well. He'd stayed away from him so far, avoiding his touch, his scent when she could. He didn't know if he should grin or wince that she was trying to avoid that. Thankfully, other than small game, birds, and old animal scat, they seemed to be alone. He saw no signs of wild dogs or any of the larger predators. Maybe they had traveled miles in that underground drain. Maybe they had traveled through worlds to a better, safer One could dream. The old lampposts were a relieving sight to see. He knew they were part of old city structures. They still had working lights like this in the 12. The vehicle park, where the Omegas made their home, had been part of some old drone-made city, or suburb, too.
The little Omega was all turned around, confused by the new place. She hadn't really lost them. "I should have climbed a tree yesterday," she said as they finished the bird the boy had caught. "I just thought we had to go south a bit before anything would stand out, so there was no point. But I should have looked sooner. I'm sorry. I hope we didn't miss the pit." "No, little bit. I think you got us close. I hope my pack is still there." "Who would take it?" Peter asked. "The Sarah," Zen guessed. "If they saw it?" Peter nodded. "I hit it good," Mur said. "Peter, would you carry the baby for a bit? The Alpha thinks I don't see him limping." "I got it, woman. I got her. She's my burden to bear." Full of food again, her bottom properly cleaned, his little burden was falling asleep against his back. Half mud piglet. The child both ignored rain and wet clothing, though they worried Mur. He had to get her dry soon. "You'll do her no good if you fall," Zin pointed out. No, he wouldn't, but Mur wouldn't fall. Jem was his good luck charm. Pass her over to the boy, and he got his heater and charm. Mur got nothing, just more cold shoulder from the unbonded Omega. "I'm fine, woman. Back off. Don't you have some more lost children to save somewhere? Isn't there a village you need to rescue all by yourself?" "What?" she asked, clueless to his great wit. Her hero complex stretched from the UN all the way to the 12. He didn't doubt she'd risk her life to save one child from a full army of wild alphas. She'd march right in and demand that they help her, or their failure to do her bidding would haunt them forever.
The few feral alphas Mur had encountered face to face lacked any conscience. The idea of her facing them alone left him queasy. With flea-bitten brains, those males lived like animals. They'd tear Miss Do-Right apart. Never was there a more gap-brained, desperately stupid bunch of men. Stupid men, hopeless women, no shoes. Mur was ready to call it a day. Turning west out of the shadow of the wall, they found a break in the trees that made travel easier. A road. Mur was grateful for it. Peter was practicing with that weighted rope again, trying to throw it at low-hanging branches. He'd caught their lunch with it, with a bit of luck. The weapon looked like a lot of trouble, easy to lose, difficult to replace. While Mur had younger sisters, all his brothers were older. He couldn't remember the last time he'd seen a male child. This place ate them up as fast as it ate Omegas. Watching the boy's attempts with the weighted rope, Mur said, "A sling would work better." "A sling?" "If you can use that thing, you should be able to use a sling. It's a strap with a place for a rock. You can use it to throw the rock at something instead of having to release your whole weapon every time.
The bola is harder, so it's a warrior's weapon, the Omega said. Who said that bullshit? She didn't answer him. Thinking about it, he guessed. I've never seen one of those before, and I've seen a lot of weapons. My father had a collection of them, and that collection came out of a drone house packed with all kinds of ancient crap. Floor after floor of treasure. Drones collect shit like you've never seen. And I never saw anything like that long rope with rocks at the end. Oh, you mean you don't know everything there is to know? Zin asked. She was touchy about her lack of schooling and education, Mur had noticed. He wasn't sure why. Watch that tone of yours. I'm not insulting you. No? It sounded like it when you called my answer bullshit. He would not explain himself. She could boil in anger if she wanted. This thing to wrap around an opponent's neck or tangle his feet. I've seen you bring a bird from the sky, but you only have one of them. Zin has one. But what about when you throw it at an enemy, and there's a nasty-ass, stinking group of pock-faced bastards behind him? You got nothing left to throw. We see alphas, we're going to hide or run. Zin answered for the boy. You got something to mask your scent, sunshine? Something for my gem, too? What about us? We can try to hide, but who will control the wind? Who will stop those damn pheromones you give off? It's better if the freaks don't see us, but we need to prepare for when they do. A sling just needs rocks for ammunition. Round is good, but any will do. You might not get enough force to kill a breed, but you'll slow him. Get good enough, and hit him in a soft cavity, and you get a win.
What do I need to make a sling? Peter asked. The boy would be a proper alpha. He saw the appeal in killing. Mur gave him a smile. The boy's heavy eyebrows bounced around his forehead, as if he couldn't decide how to respond to Mur. Mur's smile grew to a grin. A couple of things could work, and there are a couple of ways to make one. We can start looking. You'll teach us both, then, Zen said from her position ahead of them. She was far enough ahead that she had to turn and raise her voice. Nothing wrong with her hearing, then, or her ability to boss around a fully grown alpha. She absolutely thought she could tell him what to do. Women had controlled enough of his early life. No more. Mur wouldn't let that stand, but payback could wait. He had her permission to do anything he pleased to her. And he planned to. Her braid flew in a thick rope when she turned, the patch of sunlight she walked through creating a gold and rose nimbus from the finer, loose frizz of her hair. For a girl who had lived in a subterranean world, the sun loved her, finding her wherever she was and lighting her up until she glowed.
Excellently done.
It's so good, I love it.
I was unprepared to do a British accent, but once Aaron had established that Mur... like, yeah, I guess I should do that.
Well, you didn't have to.
I know.
How was that, Isoellen?
Yeah, it was really wonderful. Thank you so much. That was very enjoyable. Very embarrassing for me because I don't usually have to listen to it play. And yes, that was highly edited for TikTok. So,
but you say that this book is already out and available, right?
no, this one will be out. It's actually still it's in the final stages of edit.
Okay.
So it will be out this year though. It is, hopefully it'll do, it's anticipated. Mur is a very hated character. So, I will see if he actually gets redeemed. He was very much hated from the first book. So, even among romance readers.
So the first book is available. What's
the first, and yeah, there are 3 books ahead of this one. This one, it's written, so it's hopefully will be a standalone if people just come into it. But it is the 3rd book or the 4th book in the series.
So what's the title, so that we can give everyone viewing homework so that they can go and buy your book? What's the title of the first book?
The first one is Choosing Her Alpha. And the second one is her broken alpha. And then there's her true alpha. So choosing her alpha. You know, my name is so cool because I'm the only one. So if people Google me, you're going to find my book somewhere.
There we go. So everyone, that was a lot of fun to read. I enjoyed it. It was great listening to the voices that Christian and Tegan both did. So go out and get yourself a copy, if you can, of Choosing Her Alpha by Isoellen.
Thank you so much. That was so good.
Wonderful. Well, let's jump over to Eden. Now, Eden, you have provided us with Tripping for Number 68. Okay. Now, in the Google Doc of the script, I posted a couple questions, but similarly to how I asked Isoellen, I'm going to ask those same questions to you to also give us a brief description of the characters' voices. But can you tell us a little about Tripping for Number 68?
Sure. So Tripping for Number 68, it's the first book in what is working out to be about a 5-book series. Only 1 and 2 are done, but all of the side characters keep going, hey, I want one. Give me one. So there's some strong personalities in here. So Tripping, Elliot Moxley, who is the captain of the Rockville Ice Wolves, which is a hockey team of my own creation. He's kind of a cinnamon roll, golden retriever energy. So, you know, just kind of like high energy. He gets himself in trouble without trying. The basis of the story is he got in trouble with his ex-girlfriend. In the previous season, she got mad. She posted all of the dirty details of, you know, private text messages and photos and things. The team's not happy about it. So the team is making him do some PR work to, you know, redeem himself, which means he gets put under the supervision of Veronica or Ronnie Snow. She's referenced in the passage. I don't think I had her talking. Oh, wait, no, yes, I did. At the very end. Ronnie is very straight-laced. She's very by the book. She's very annoyed about the fact that she has to basically babysit this jock who can't figure out how to behave and annoys the daylights out of her. But he's kind of cute, so it's okay, kind of. They have to work very closely together. She's trying to put him into situations where he's going to get, you know, safe face. And
Okay.
he kind of antagonizes her a little bit, just a tad. I think we had a little bit from Val Bishop, which is Elliot's best friend. He's going to get his own book in number 3.
Okay.
But
Yes.
So let's talk about the characters and the voices, how we're going to portray them specifically. So Val Bishop is the first one that speaks. You mentioned teammate Elliot's best friend. So just a brief description of how this person should sound.
he is a veteran player, so he's a little bit older, kind of gruff. He's going to probably have a dark and spicy book in number 3. If you know, you know. So I kind of envisioned him a little bit deeper. He's got kind of a commanding tone about everything he does. So yeah, he is a force to be reckoned with.
Okay. And then the next one is Moxley.
Yeah.
So how should we portray Mox?
Elliot Moxley, I had him... I kind of had him pegged as, like, not white California surfer, but, you know, just very, like, speaks kind of fast and just kind of like, you know, like kind of okay. And that's his vibe. I mean, I guess Ryan Gosling as 10 is kind of like right there.
So as Christian just said, cinnamon roll, golden retriever character. Sounds good. Then we have 2 lines from Coach. I'm assuming my go-to would be like there's a very specific kind of Coach character that you do, and that's the second lot. So that'll be Christian to do just that. Christian, do you have a good Coach voice?
I'll figure it out. Yeah.
Okay. All right. But then we have Ronnie, Veronica Snow. So how are we portraying Ronnie's voice?
She's usually very like no nonsense with her delivery. So she, in my head anyway, because it's kind of funny how characters take on their own, like, they have their own voice in their head. There's no other way to describe it. Authors get it. So yeah, she's just very like, she's kind of in her words, in her delivery, kind of alto-ish. So yeah, she's not really high. She's just kind of like regular.
Okay.
But she's usually kind of serious in her delivery.
I'll do my best to do a good alto.
Seems very professional, right? Like very knows what she's doing, qualified.
Yeah, she is no nonsense, and she runs Elliot through his paces. He has to jump through so many hoops for her, and he just goes, and again, yeah. So they were fun to write, and I think you guys will have fun playing with them, even if I didn't get to put very much in there because, like Isoellen, I also edited this a little bit because hockey players talk a certain way. So I went through and I like removed the words that would probably get us in trouble.
Well, we thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Christian and Tegan, do you have any questions?
Nope. I think I'm all good.
All right. We'll do the same thing. I'll kick it off, then Christian, then Tegan, then back around. Okay? So, Tripping for Number 8 by Eden Knox. Getting ready for a game is a ritual. The socks go on the same, left sock, then right. The tape is wrapped exactly the same way every single time. I'm not as bad as some of the guys. I don't wear the same pair of socks. Oh, sorry, real quick. Tanya, we love you.
Yes,
there is
sir.
some feedback and static coming from you. Could you mute yourself while we read?
I can't find it to mute if I was paid to, dude.
Sorry. I will... I'm turning off your microphone. Okay, there we go. Sorry. Let's go again.
And just as a heads up, most of this is from Elliot's point of view.
Okay, great. I'm not as bad as some of the guys. I don't wear the same pair of socks for all the road games or anything gross like that. It's just repetition, step by step. If I do the things in order, my game is on point. It's been like that since I played in Mites, and I refuse to change up at this point. However, I am pulling the tape off for the 3rd time because I'll be damned if I can't freaking concentrate and it's wrinkled. Fucking rookie move, I swear. Marks, you good? Val Bishop sat across from me, tying his skate laces. I could feel him looking at me, and it did nothing to relax my nerves. He had twice the seasons under his belt that I do, and I was the young upstart with the captain's C on my chest where he was the A as one of my alternates. He's never been bitter about it, but he has that strong leadership energy that I wish I had. Feeling him pick apart my shortcomings this afternoon really did jack for me. "I'll be a minute. This tape freaking sucks," I grumbled at him, tossing another tape ball toward the trash can.
"Here, use this," he said, throwing me his roll of tape. I nod my head in thanks at him and start concentrating on wrapping it around my shins. Deep down, I know there is no difference between the two rolls. Hell, they probably came from the same box in the trainer's office this morning. Still, with the fresh roll, I completed the pattern I always used and then tossed the roll back at him so I could focus on the skates next. One step at a time, one piece of gear at a time, and then I was ready. I wasn't just Elliot Moxley, dumb jock from the Pee Wee Leagues. I'm Elliot freaking Moxley, captain of the Ice Wolves, top scorer in the division, and I lost my train of thought as I looked over and saw Coach standing with Jessica and Ronnie. She was in my locker room, and I couldn't look away. I just saw her a couple hours ago, but for some reason I had forgotten what she looked like standing there in our colors. I gritted my teeth as once again I saw her in that jersey, and wished I could put her back in mine again. "Later, you Neanderthal," I grumbled inwardly as I continued putting my gear on. "All right, boys, look sharp." As a unit, we all looked toward Coach and fell silent. "Thank you for answering the social media questions on the way in the building. Now, on your way out for warm-ups, please catch us up with Jess and Ronnie, as they're getting more hype materials. They will be in the tunnel and filming the walk-up, so please be aware of what you're doing and saying, okay? Good. Get back at it."
He exchanged handshakes with both women, and I withheld a growl as I watched Ronnie's face light up as she also clasps his wrist. Before they both head toward the door, I kept my eyes trained on her, looking at that snow in big white letters across her shoulder blades, and caught her eyes as she looked straight at me. I flashed a wink at her and grinned as her cheeks go scarlet. "Moxley," Bishop called to me, drawing my attention away from Ronnie's retreating back and over to him. "Busted. Would you like to explain what that was?" He kept his tone low, but I knew that was for my own benefit. The walls have ears in here sometimes. I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? You're looking at the PR team a little intensely for you to not know what's going on. I mean, I don't know what we are yet. I asked her out, but we're keeping it quiet for now. You're dating from within the franchise. Don't you know what will happen if word gets out, right? I know, I like her. Are you going to be able to play with your head in the game? And is she why you were taping like you were in the Pee-wees again? Don't start on me. That's just a one-time thing. He looked at me askance, and I just smirked back. I got a handle on this. I can keep my head in the game. I mean it. If you say so, let's go do this thing.
We fist bumped and then headed out into the locker room to see everyone else getting pumped up. The music thumped through the overhead speakers, and I felt myself get pulled into the energy. That was the distraction that I needed to get through the day. "Come on, boys, let's show the Raptors how we do this. Skate hard, shoot smart, eyes up, we got this. Let's go." I delivered fist bumps and helmet taps to each player as they headed out the door, with Val bringing up the rear. "Good job, Cap," he said to me as he double-tapped my fists. I followed along behind him, out toward the tunnel. I could hear the crowd above us already, and it made me jittery. Off to the sides of the hallway were arena workers and special guests, waiting for fist bumps from us as we made our way to the ice. Around one corner, I see Jess and Ronnie asking questions and filming. Jess was tied up with Val's drawn-out answer because he can't just pick one, which meant Ronnie would get to ask me. Perfect. As I approached, I saw her bite her lip a bit as she saw me coming, and shake her head behind the phone she held. "Hey, Moxley, what's your favorite ice cream?" "Yeah. Easy. A little death by chocolate with whipped cream and hot fudge. Maybe a cherry on top if I have one." "Everything's better with whipped cream, though." I finished it with a wink.
I watched her put her phone down before she looked up at me with wide eyes. "Well, that one can't make it onto social media." Why not? That had a certain tone to it, and you know it. Want me to do it again and say I prefer vanilla? No whipped cream? Her gasp is audible, and I point toward the equipment hallway. Got a sec? Sure, she whispered, heading in that direction. I headed to the door, pulling it open before ushering her into the dark. Aren't you supposed to be heading out for warm-ups? I am, in a minute, I said, letting the door shut behind me and enveloping us in darkness. I reached out with my bare hand, keeping the other hand with my stick and gloves far away, and pulled her as close to me as my gear would get her. I needed to see you first. Even in the dark, our aim was impeccable. Her lips landed on mine, and her arms wrapped around my neck, holding me close. She gave me as good as I was giving, and it was electrifying. My free hand slid down her back, holding her against me. You need to go warm up, you dork, she laughed. Her lips pulled just off of mine. Her breath skated across my parted lips, and as I leaned in more, she placed her finger against them. Go. We can talk after the game. In all the time I've played hockey, I have never wanted a game to end so quickly in my life.
Excellently done. Excellent.
I have to agree with Corinne. Dude, just say Rocky Road like everyone else.
Okay. Now, I don't know how to unmute Tanya. She has to do it on her side, and she can't see the button. So I do apologize. But that was excellently done. Christian, Tegan, fantastic voices there. How was that for you, Eden?
Loved it. It's kind of surreal to hear, like, my own characters talking to me through my speakers and not just between my ear holes. So that's kind of cool. Because otherwise I just have them in gray matter and it's like, nobody else can hear this. And now they can.
Yeah, at least 17 people have heard it. So there you go.
It was very good. Both stories have been very good, and I've really enjoyed listening to, getting to sit back and actually listen to the others read it as well. So,
and this
story is available. This story is available already.
It is. Tripping for number 68 is available on Kindle Unlimited. It's on as an ebook as well on Amazon. It's also available in paperback form wherever paperbacks are sold. And it's on my bucket list. I do want this as an audiobook. I just actually have to be able to, afford to pay somebody to do it. But we'll get there. Baby steps.
Have you ever tried like crowdfunding? I've worked with a lot of authors where that's been pretty successful. Like if it's something that you really want, you know how romance readers are, like they will go nuts over content and whatever.
Yeah.
and audio, a lot of readers want that. It's just usually the cost, is the part that's, not allowing you to do it. And so I always like to recommend it to authors because I've worked with some where it's been successful and they've gotten even more than what they wanted. And you can try to fund it completely, or you can, try to, pull the burden away a little bit. If you're going for a narrator that might be, higher price than others, but they're the voice for you, to offset those costs. Like I always like to recommend it because fans will go nuts for that stuff and they tend to do pretty well. So.
And I would mention that largely all of the narrators that I know and can think of at the top of my head, all these wonderful book talk narrators are usually very easy to approach, happy to talk you through any of these sorts of things. Most of us are more than happy to record a quick sample for you. No cost at all, just so that you have something to listen to. I just recently signed a contract with an author, and after picking his narrators, he's now set up that a Kickstarter to fund the narration. So you can get audio samples from the narrators that you like to help boost the crowdfunding attempt, all those things. And then the narrators themselves can be very flexible and open. So, yeah.
And I don't know any narrator on TikTok who is going to say no to, hey, I've got an excerpt that I'd like to read, like, and you can put the video up as well. And because it's all about cross promotion, basically. We're not going to say no because you're giving us something to actually work with, rather than having to like search through Reddit posts and things like this, just so that we can have something to read that isn't going to like infringe on anybody. So yeah, we're always happy to do it.
I will say, to be a bit of like, you know, a Debbie Downer on it, I always am careful with that, with like promotional work, because if an author one day does decide to pull the trigger on an audiobook and they go with somebody else, you've given your listeners like a voice that they might want. And it can get the author in a bit of a weird spot where it's like, well, why didn't you pick Tegan, or why didn't you pick Aaron? You know, we heard that, like that was the voice. You know, and it could be because their schedule's full, or they're too, you know. And so I personally just, I don't, if it's not a contract that I'm working on at the time, like doing promotional work, even if you're paid, for me, I don't do it just because of that, because it can get a little muddy. And I don't want to be perceived as the voice of a series if the author decides to go in another way.
I can
It's preference.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something that I don't do. So, yeah.
Yeah, I can understand that, because I mean, I can definitely see from a point of the amount of people who have read books and see a character in their head and hear a character in their head, and then it gets picked up by like a TV station and they make it into a show or whatever, and everyone's like the back and forth of, well, that's not the character that I envisioned, and yeah, I get it.
And then there's always the route of royalty share, though. I personally don't think royalty shares, in my opinion, are fair on the author. You end up with so little royalties for the sales that it's not quite fair from my point of view. But those are options. Now, I hope
Eden, unfair for you guys more so than for us, because
it depends on the narrator, right? I mean, like if you put your book up for, you know, between 200 to 400 per finished hour, right, which is what ACX sets their category. If you don't do that, there's a lot of narrators that are full-time that need, you know, that outsource all of their proofing and mastering to somebody else, where they're not even going to look or audition for your book if it's anything below 200 to 400 per finished hour, right? I know that if it's not in that section, then I'm not going to audition for it. And, you know, you can find great narrators that are below that, but I always say, if you want to do the audiobook, like, put the funds aside to access that potentially upper echelon of narrators. Not to say that narrators that do a royalty share plus contract or a royalty share project, you know, I've done royalty share plus contracts, right? I mean, all of us probably have. In some books, it makes sense. If it's a book that has sold well, you know, that's going to be more appealing to a narrator. But I always say, like, don't limit yourself. If you're going to do an audiobook, don't limit yourself. Do it right and unlock that kind of higher tier of narrator to audition for your stuff, because you could be missing out on something. And if you put out a bad audiobook, it's oftentimes worse than not putting one out at all. Is kind of where I stand with it. So that's why I say Kickstarter, you know, is always a good way to do it. Yeah.
And David has down in the comment, I know I've worked with David on several books, and he's just commented that the one thing with royalty share is it can sometimes copyright restrict you to using only one producer. So that can become problematic. So I was just reading the comment for everyone. So.
But, well, yeah, we are now at our time, so I want to thank Isoellen and Eden Knox and tell you all to go out and, if you are able to, get yourself a copy of their books, because A, those were fantastic reads that we just did, and B, every one of those purchases goes to help these wonderful people do more.
Exactly.
So
we need to get
let's
it out there
support them.
more.
Yeah. So let me see if I remember this all correctly. By Isoellen, the one we read, which was, and I'm going to get this, Redeeming Her Alpha, is not yet available, will be out this year. But what is available is the first book in the 4-book series so far, is Choosing Her Alpha. So if you like Omegaverse books, and I've narrated an Mpreg Omegaverse book, and I did enjoy that. So if you like Omegaverse stories, go and check out Choosing Her Alpha by Isoellen. And if you like hockey, or you like more young romance there, you have Tripping for Number 68 by Eden Knox. And it is available, right? Yes, it is. So go and check those out. And then please, everyone, go and follow, if you're not already, these incredible narrators, Christian and Tegan. They are fantastic, and the work that they're going to do is going to be great. Keep an eye out for Christian's future in lit RPGs. We'll get there.
I know. Can't wait.
Manifest it.
And Tegan just keeps knocking out those books by David Parker Ross. So
I can also say as well, something coming very shortly is I'm also doing, introduced through this actually, Aaron, I will also, coming in the next couple of months, be doing Someone Else by Corinne Dively, so who I know is in the
Wonderful.
chat. So I know, I didn't, yeah. So, and this is one of the wonderful things that that Aaron and Tanya do, is you sometimes meet your narrator right here. So, yeah.
Wonderful. Well, that's fantastic. I'm glad we were able to help an author and a narrator join together in that. That's great. So, if you want to be on this, if you are a narrator or an author and you'd like to be on this sort of format, there are many wonderful book talk podcasts out there. Each one of them are fantastic, but this is the cold reads session. If you'd like to be on this, then message Tonya, Celtic Blue, to you. She is the one scheduling everything. She is absolutely fantastic.
She is the powerhouse behind it all.
She is. We are booked out quite a while. If she was able to see the unmute button right now, she would be able to tell you that we are fully booked through March, and let me just looking at April. And okay, so we've got some openings in May. Wow. Okay. So do contact her if you would like to be on this. The only requirement we have on that is that A, you've got enough followers to be able to go live. B, if you're an author, you provide us a roughly 1,300 word sample that is safe for TikTok. Thank you, Eden and Isoellen, for making your samples safe for TikTok. And that's it. Nice and simple. Anyone and everyone is welcome, no matter the story, no matter the skill. All right. Well, thank you very much. This video will be uploaded to YouTube within the next week, and I will make it available for folks. Have a fantastic evening, all of you. I wish you all the best. Good night.